Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight for our second budget session regarding curriculum and instruction. If you could all stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so when I walked in at 6:30, I thought I was early, and Mrs. Morrison was right here. Probably never left since this morning, so I know you are excited for this.
I am very
So I'm going
excited.
to turn it right over to you.
My team's excited. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the 2023-2024 Curriculum and Instruction presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the entire administrative team who has joined us here this evening. They are going to be spending some time talking with us about all of the amazing things going on in their departments this year and what we can look forward to for next year. And they were also an integral part of getting this presentation together. So thank you to my administrators here, and welcome to everyone this evening. From the pre-K classrooms in our elementary schools to the International Baccalaureate and advanced placement classes at the high school, the students of West Islip are provided with well-rounded and robust academic and extracurricular programs. This evening, the following areas of curriculum and instruction for the 2023-2024 school year will be overviewed by the administrative team. Health, physical education, athletics, and extracurricular activities, special education, math, business, and facts, social studies and international baccalaureate, science and engineering technology, elementary language arts and MTSS K-12, English language arts 6-12 and ENL and library media center K-12, school counseling and social work, world languages, art and music K-12, information and instructional technology, professional development, and staffing and program proposals. Throughout the current school year, teachers, students, and administrators have continued to discover new and innovative approaches to teaching and learning. We successfully started the implementation of standards-based instruction and assessment practices at the elementary level and continue to work towards increased student-driven learning experiences K-12. For the 2023-24 curriculum and instruction budget, all current instructional programs and enrichment opportunities will be maintained, along with the resources utilized to effectuate them. Tonight, we will be highlighting current department information as well as proposals for the upcoming school year. We'll kick off the presentation with Mr. Tim Horan, Director of Athletics, Physical Education, Health, and Recreation.
Good evening. It's great to be with everyone here tonight. Seems like just recently we were doing this for the 22-23 school year budget. It's amazing how the years fly by. So in terms of our budget for health and physical education, for the most part it's consistent with the years past, not much change over from previous years. In terms of our PE supplies, obviously we're providing the equipment and supplies for over 2,000 students in the district. We are looking to replace the high school main court baskets this year, just due to the unique structure of the high school combined with the baskets being over 60 years old. And sometimes when you put them down, they don't come horizontal to the ground. So while some people may like a crooked basket, it may help them with their shooting. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for our competitive games or during phys ed classes. We'll be replacing some of our project venture gear. Our Venture Ed program that we offer at the middle school and the high school. Some portable mats and tumbling mats and health class supplies, some props that you see in the picture up there, just to enhance instruction, as well as some of our Ready or Not tots. Health office supplies, where we can help support over 4,000 students and 700 plus staff members. We're going to get a new vision screener at Bayview. They're pretty consistent over the years. We haven't really replaced many over the past 15 years or so that I've been here, but evidently that one needs to be replaced. We try to get it fixed if we can. So that's pretty much an overview of the health and phys ed. Like I said, not much change in terms of the overall budget from year to year. In terms of athletics and extracurricular activities, we're good. We're going to continue with our 90-plus interscholastic athletic teams. We are going to be introducing competitive game day cheer in the fall. It's the first year that New York State will be recognizing it and offering a state championship in it. So it really takes all the best of sideline cheer and then puts it in a competitive environment where the teams will get to compete and have a postseason and enhance their experience. We are continuing with our intramural program at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels. The Final Forms athletic management system that we introduced during COVID, it continues to be well received and appreciated by everybody, community and district staff and student athletes. Our volleyball program continues to grow, and the support of the student body increases dramatically over the past couple of years. So what we want to do is provide a little bit more flexibility with scheduling and get some volleyball lines put down in the upper gym at the high school, as well as some competitive volleyball system installed there, so we can help with some scheduling, and particularly in the postseason when we have some big competitions and it's not conflicted with our gymnastics program that's housed in the upper gym as well. And just continual replenishment of many of the different things that you see here. Our AED, we have an extensive AED program throughout the district, 25 or 26 units, and that's just to replace some of the batteries that have a shelf life of about 4 years, and some of the adult pads that go in each of those units. Continue with our uniforms replacement, working with the coaches closely with that, and our equipment managers at each of the secondary schools. Traditional equipment for our 90-plus teams. We always try and keep rotating newer gymnastics and cheerleading mats in. We have over 40 mats in the district. And what's nice is our Buildings and Grounds Department, Luann Dunn, has done a great job of aligning the youth program with the buildings where our secondary cheer program is taking place, so they can take advantage of those mats as well in the evening. And they get a lot of great use. Some field hockey equipment, goalie gear for our 4 field hockey programs. We continue to replenish our football helmets. We had just about 200 students participating on our 4 secondary football programs this year, so we always want to continue to replenish those to minimize risk and have the best equipment possible for our students. And same thing with our pole vaults, so that our students can perform at optimal performance, so that they're on a pole that's appropriate to their weight and their skill level, and minimize the chances of them being on a pole that could possibly snap when they're using it. So I'd like to open it up if there's any questions for phys ed, health, athletics. No, pretty basic. Great, thank you. And at this time, it would be a great pleasure to introduce our Director of Special Ed, Mrs. Dowd.
Good evening. I think it's important that we discuss the overall budget, that we talk about students first. Since we classify everything in special education, I decided to break it down by our students, the most used classifications from Part 200 of the regulations of the Commissioner, and broke it down by elementary schools, secondary schools, for a grand total currently of 740 students that we're servicing this year, and the number stays about the same, but pretty consistent for the last couple of years. In the 2021 school year, we had 731 classified students, 21-22, 736, and we go back to an all-time high from 17-18 of 830 students. So that decrease, the significant decrease in numbers, shows that our MTSS model is very successful, and our changes to the core curriculum have certainly assisted in keeping our special education numbers consistent in the last several years. We do not anticipate any changes to the placement of our special education programs for the 22-23 school year. So I'll just do a really quick recap of those. For those students that are due to our current enrollments, Bayview will house the integrated co-teaching sections in kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 4th. Oakwood Elementary School will house integrated co-teaching sections in grades 3 and 5. And Udo Road Middle School will continue in integrated co-teaching sections for grades 6, 7, and 8. Our 15-1 special classes, Oakwood Elementary School will house our kindergarten and first grade classrooms. Our Manatuck Elementary School will grow to grades 2, 3, 4, and 5. And Udo Road Middle School will continue with grades 6, 7, and 8. Our smaller special classes are housed at Paul J. Blue Elementary School. We have 811 classes for grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Beach Street Middle School houses our 1011 special class for grades 6, 7, and 8. And at our high school, we have a 15-1 special class for grades 9 through 12, but we also have a 10-1-1 alternate assessment class. That's for students that are in grades 9 through 12. And we recognize the preference of students remaining in their home buildings, and we will be exploring the possibility of a 6th grade integrated co-teaching section at Beach Street Middle School for the 24-25 school year. I'm highlighting the more global, more high expense or high cost costs that take place with our out-of-district special education costs. So our private schools, when we refer to that as students facing various programs across Long Island, including Center for Disabilities, DDI, UCP, and SSA. Some of our students are on a stipulation of agreement. Our other public schools that we use throughout the course of the districts I can't talk about them because we only have a few students, and that I would want to preserve that confidentiality. BOCES, we're projecting 38 students attending our BOCES programs, and you can see the BOCES related costs in one-to-one aids, Department of Social Services, foster student tuition. Those numbers basically remain the same throughout the course of the year, although I did reduce the number of $100,000 in the social services area. We also covered foster student tuition costs as well. We cover parentally placed non-public costs for our own students from West Isa. Our students in West Isa that attend other schools such as St. Mary's, St. Patrick's, Upper Room Christian School, Buckley Country Day School, and those things. At this point, we do not anticipate any additional students or any student in the residential placements. And then the last item that I'm highlighting is the professional and technical services. Those are things that include costs such as a hearing officer, private care nurses that for our students that do require a one-to-one nurse, OT and PT services throughout the district, IEE, which are independent educational evaluation at taxpayer expenses, and those type of assessments. And our last slide is something that the administrative team at the high school and for special education are thrilled to be talking about. We will be partnering with Effective School Solution. I know that was in your board backup from last week, and we've spoken about it with Mr. McGinnis and Mrs. Brown in our monthly special education meetings. We're looking to partner with them to implement mental health and behavior supports to address our students that exhibit school refusal, trauma, and most importantly, we want to maintain our students in our own high school. This partnership provides a certified mental health counselor that will be housed at West Isa High School. This year-round, that's the important part, is the year-round mental health counselor will provide individual and group therapy during the school day. In addition, that mental health counselor will provide parent support group and family therapy one time a week in the evening hours for the duration of the year. This proven model allows our students to maintain enrollment at West Isa High School or to return from an out-of-district placement such as BOCES to West Isa High School. Of course, this will assist us in maintaining our LRE, and a student in this program is not required to have an IEP, although most of the students that we're recommending will have an IEP. And that's our little summary of our budget. Thank you, everyone.
I have some questions and actually some recommendations. I know we went through the placement of all the different programs in all the different schools, and I know we have discussed in multiple sessions about expanding the services to the buildings for homeschool, so the children can remain in homeschool. What I'd like to propose is for integrated, I know you mentioned in for 2024, is to bring that to Beach Street for next year. And I realize that, I don't know what the numbers are, or the numbers are there, but I believe that's just an important aspect for us to have to start that process. I'd like to do that next year.
At this time, there are no students that are currently have Beach Street as their home school in the integrated co-teaching program. Dr. Romanelli did reach out to one student, but they were housed at Manatuck Elementary School since kindergarten, so the parent is not interested in bringing them to a different school at this point.
So the two feeder schools are Baloo and Bayview. So we have 140, 150 sixth graders coming into Beach Street. Sixth grade next year summer, right?
There's one student at Paul J. Blue receiving resource room, and I'd have to go back to the Bayview numbers. I think there was only about 4 or 5 students. I went back to the IEPs from preschool up until for the current 5th graders at Paul J. Blue and at Bayview, and not once has a student been recommended for integrated co-teaching in those 2 buildings.
I'd like to take a look at that because having 0 out of 140 is almost statistically impossible. And I'd like to see what that process is because the feedback that we get, and this is anecdotal, I'm not an expert in any of this, but is that there's a gap in students coming out of Bayview and Baloo that need integrated or would benefit from integrated not being up in the beach. So I don't know if we can take a look at classifications, how we classify kids, because having 0, I mean, historically it's been 10 to 12, but all of a sudden having 0 just seems that there's a miss.
Yeah, if I can just comment on that, I think that that's the whole, if you build it, they will come sort of model, sort of, for lack of a better term, and just, you know, the whole philosophical discussion of, you know, if the program exists itself, you know, will students be recommended into that program, you know, front row spaces. So it's definitely a conversation that we've been having. I know that we currently have the numbers for that 24-25 school year. It's definitely something we can explore and take a look at, you know, moving forward for next year as well.
And I do believe it. I know we've discussed that if you build it, they will come. And I use the analogy from the Field of Dreams movie, right? I believe that there may be kids out in the cornfield, we just took away the field. So I think we need to look at if those kids are there to make sure that they're not offered the program or being directed in that way. And again, I'm not an expert in it, but 0 seems impossible.
But we did go through every single IEP. I don't want you to think that we just randomly made that
No,
decision.
I
There's
don't
only
just-
one classified student in resource room at Paul J. Blue Elementary School, so that's one. And there's only a handful of students in receiving resource room services at Bayview. So we did, like I said, we did go back and met with Dr. Romanelli, myself, Gail Doherty, and Dawn Morrison, and went through every single, I had gone through every single IEP to go back and look at it.
Every kid has an IEP, has a CEC meeting. I can't imagine this district is saying, we don't have a program here, so you don't follow. I would think if they qualified, they would have been assigned to.
Well, what they're being offered though is to go to a different school, so they're not staying in their home school or their home school area, so I think that discourages a lot of parents.
Right, but that was the point, that every IEP was looked at and from preschool, and there's been no recommendation of integrated co-teaching for those children.
There's been no
currently.
recommendation, so.
Well,
That-
but a recommendation would be made, so if I can go back and do the same thing in every elementary school, every meeting, if a recommendation is made, it's listed in the PWN or in the comment section about a recommendation was provided, and a parent either refused or the team did not come to consensus.
Was the recommendation made to go to Udall, or was the recommendation made to go into integrated?
There was no recommendation on those documents to integrated co-teaching.
That's what I'd like to look at, because
But that's what I looked at, with every single IEP of those students at Bayview in particular.
so maybe we look at the obviously it's a complicated process into it, but look at the process, it just seems like there's a miss there. It almost can't be 0. That's what I'd like to take a look at that. Or have someone-
But integrated co-teaching is one program that we offer, as well as speech and language services, as well as resource room and special class. So, you know, those numbers are there, and we are declining in our enrollment as the number of special education students that are classified.
And the other thing that does, by not having integrated at Beach Street, you have children who are in special class, who have a pathway to go from special class to integrated, potentially regular classes in high school. If we eliminate it, or if that doesn't exist in Beach Street, are we not capturing that pathway for those kids?
And I would just add that, you know, I think that philosophically that everybody's on the same page here, and I think that that's why Mrs. Dowling is talking about 24-25 school year, because we do see the numbers currently. But again, like we had conversations about this coming school year, and I think that, you know, if the board is asking us to go back and take a look at that again, we can look at it. We did definitely have a full discussion about the coming year, and don't have the current numbers to support it, but hear what you're saying about if the program exists, would people be placed in there? So we can continue the conversation.
Or another way to look at it is, will students benefit by having that program there? And I think that's probably a yes for a lot of them.
But those are-
Because if they went through and they weren't recommended and the parents said no, that means there was no need. Right? I mean, if we have like a couple of kids,
I want them to look at that process. That's it.
But that is the process that we're following in the district, by following Part 200 of the regulations. I don't want someone to think that
No,
we're
I just
misleading
I
somebody.
want to take a look at it because it's such an anomaly.
The continuum of services is offered at every meeting. So if the continuum includes an integrated co-teaching placement, recommendation from a regular education teacher or a special education teacher, that certainly would be clearly listed on the PWN and on the IEP. And they were not listed on that PWN or on the IEP for the IEPs that we're discussing with that for fifth graders that they get and below.
I'm not doubting the documentation. I just want to look at the process.
Thank you.
One other question. We have a Da Vinci contract in the budget for $400,000. I know, to the credit of the district, we implemented the reading programs, and we had Da Vinci help us out over the last 2 years, bringing our teachers and training up to capacity. The $400,000 here for Da Vinci says speech and RR, which I'm assuming is resource room.
Correct.
What is that money spent for?
So that money is spent at Bridges Academy and St. John the Baptist. As you know, we are mandated to require services at both private schools within our district boundaries. We do use an agency for those services, and they reimburse the school district. In addition, I'm just trying to find my notes on it, I apologize. In addition, we do spend money, just like we do with Metro Therapy, Island Kids, All About Kids, all those agencies. We use Da Vinci for not only reading consultation as per a student's IEP, but we use them for parent counseling and training, for professional development for our teachers, but more importantly, it's what's specifically listed on the student's IEP for reading consultation services and/or those services at the parentally placed.
Can we get a breakdown of that? Because I know historically, in the past, we had Our Lady of Lourdes, St. John's, and Bridges covered by in-house staff. Is there?
Not historically. So that changed many years ago as teachers have retired, including when we had Our Lady of Lourdes as well, and they have been covered for well past over 5 years by the agency because they're not full-time positions.
Can we take a look at that to find out what the difference is if we have full-time coverage? Our staff cover that rather than third party? Just because third party is historically 30 to 40% higher than what you do in-house.
Anything else? Oh, sorry. No, you can introduce it.
Thank you, Mrs. Dowling. And next up is going to be Dr. Grover. Welcome, Dr. Grover.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. Good evening, everybody. It's great to see you. Okay, so first up, we'll talk about elementary mathematics. Our primary resource for our students in elementary schools is a program called Reveal Math. This is a program from McGraw-Hill. About 2 years ago, we created a committee of about 20 teachers, the elementary principals, Mrs. Morrison and myself, and we assessed the current status of our textbook company for elementary K through 5. And we researched several other options out there, and we all came to the consensus that Reveal Math was the program that was in the best interest of our students. So this is our first year currently that we are K through 5 with Reveal Math. This comes with consumable books, volumes 1 and 2, practice books for all of our students, differentiation books, editable assessments so that teachers can they can edit online. There's a robust online platform where they can display the lessons and launch curiosity for our students to learn. This program is also auto-rostered so that our students can access it while they're in class and at home through their ClassLink accounts. And this program was highly rated by an independent company called Ed Reports. It's aligned to our standards, and so far it's been a really solid year with that program. We supplement that program with some online programs. One of them is called ST Math. This is a research-based online program that stimulates curiosity, promotes critical thinking, and productive struggle. Currently, we have a Celebrate Math Week going on in Bayview Elementary this week, and we'll follow that up in Ballou, Mattituck, and Okonock 2 weeks later to celebrate math. And one of the themes of the week is to get our students solving these puzzles and really immersing in this productive struggle while they find that joy and that beauty in math. Reflex Math is another go-to tool for our teachers, and really this one is about getting our students fluency in arithmetic. It's game-based. It really does a nice job of bringing up their confidence in those skills. And our classrooms are rich with hands-on learning, manipulatives. We believe that math is learned best when students can interact and feel and touch, and it's colorful. And some examples are counters and 10 frames, connecting cubes, fraction tiles, the whiteboard that you see on the bottom. The bottom of the page there. So those are just some of the examples of the hands-on learning that we have in elementary math. In secondary math, in our middle schools and in our high school, eMath Instruction is our primary textbook company. This is used in our 6th grade, our 7th grade math, our 8th grade math, as well as our Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 series. These are consumable books that our students can take notes in, they can do their homework in. They also have access to videos on demand, and our teachers have resources to lessons, to assessments, reviews. Everything is editable, and everything is aligned to our next generation standards. Every student from algebra up through graduation has access to a TI-84 Plus calculator. These recently have been upgraded, and they are rechargeable calculators, and students can use them. They're approved for the Regents exams in algebra, geometry, and algebra 2. Our students in IB, math, and AP, calculus, and statistics, they use a model called the TI Nspire for more advanced capabilities, such as derivatives. Some examples of technology in secondary math are Delta Math, Desmos, GeoGebra, CodeHS, which is one of our computer science programs, Data Classroom, which teaches our students about statistics, GimKit, which is a game-based program, and Sphero Bolts, which you see across our STEM classes. An example of that is the little ball in the diagram on the slides here. These are like little robots, and students can code them to perform all kinds of different maneuvers. Classroom supplies, of course, our students are equipped with compasses, rulers, protractors, so that they can strategically make sense of math. And next up, I will speak about our business education program. Okay, our virtual enterprise is in their second year. This year we have 2 sections, and that class is really spiking in popularity at the high school. In this class, students create their own simulated startup company. Our students are traveling to trade shows, and they're competing against students across Long Island, and they're pitching their product while learning about marketing, accounting, business ethics, their presentation skills, and leadership, of course, as well. DECA is just one of our business ed clubs. Just this past week, our students traveled to Rochester. We sent 10 students and 2 chaperones for a 3-day trip where they did a leadership conference and a competition. We have several other trips in our department. Students get to learn about sports marketing and management. They've gone to Madison Square Garden and learned about the behind the scenes to manage a team. Citi Field, Fenway Park, MetLife Stadium are some other examples. Our law classes have visited the correctional facilities, and we've also brought in guest speakers for in-class field trips, such as judges, as well as other entrepreneurs. We've put some work into our business education suite. This year we brought in a stock market ticker to keep our students up to speed on what's happening on Wall Street. Our Honor Society recognizes students for their outstanding achievements in business education, and we're proud to have certification exams available to many of our business education students, where they can become certified in something like Microsoft Office, 21st Century Skills, finance, business management, or information technology, and they actually can go to a job interview with a certification in hand. And finally, my final department is Family and Consumer Sciences. And some of our budgetary and curricular highlights include the Little Lions. This is a nursery school. It is an integral part of our early childhood education program, which places our own high school students as student teachers for nursery school students. This is a separate program from the district pre-K. It's run at West Islip High School 4 days a week. We're also really proud of our culinary arts program. Our students are learning about food safety, nutrition, food prep, baking, and cooking. And we make sure to keep them, all of our appliances and supplies are always kept up to date, and our teachers have accounts through Stop and Shop and Peapod where they can order supplies and ingredients. Our classroom equipment is always being replaced when necessary. We've made some upgrades to some appliances this year, such as refrigerators and ovens, as well as blenders, waffle makers, and some measuring tools for the kitchen. And this is a project-based department. Our students are learning through doing, making, and constructing, and some of the technology that is incorporated in this department, there's an on-your-own simulation, as well as a virtual job shadow, where students can learn about some career exploration. Any questions?
Just a couple of comments. First of all, you cover a broad range from cooking to math, so I appreciate that. So, and some of the programs, I think, the business program, I think, you do a wonderful job here, and the district does, and I know we're looking to expand some of those programs, but it's really a great offering to students here. I work with the Virtual Enterprise Group, and that's a sensational program. So kudos on that, and then also the Little Lions that, actually, before I came on the board, I didn't know it existed, but it's actually taught by students with the help of instruction, with the teachers, and that also is a great program, so appreciate that. And on the business side, I know we were just on a tour of potential, new items that we may have in the future, and I'd love to see some of that worked in, but I think we're on the right path. Thanks for it.
Thanks so much. Okay, next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. James Gilmartin, Director of Social Studies.
You? And no waffle makers or anything. Tough act to follow. In social studies, we'll remain to keep our present program. We're very happy with the success rate that we've had in Regents exams and the success of our students taking advanced placement classes. There is an area where New York State has changed some of the Regents exams in 10th and 11th grade, and we look to replenish some textbooks and some digital services to help the students regarding those exams. We also look to continue our subscription to Westchester and Putnam County resources for ELA integrated with social studies instruction to support social studies as well as to support nonfiction literacy. The goal with these programs is that is a resource to support what's called the 3C tool inquiry, which is teaching social studies through the lens of inquiry. Rather than the what and contextual knowledge, also understanding why and an analyzation of those time periods. In some regard, New York State has identified 5 areas for social studies from K through 12 in terms of how the curriculum is vertically articulated, which allows us to really organize our curriculum in our district as well through the lens of inquiry. In the middle school, we will complete our instructional furniture, which all of the social studies classes in the middle school will be tables and chairs with wheels in an effort to promote collaboration, critical thinking. We also set the classrooms up in town hall meetings, and with the idea being that the furniture should not be an impediment to more creative instruction. We're also phasing that into the high school year by year in different classrooms with the same premise. In the areas of some of our upper level classes with IB and super curriculum, we are enhancing the nonfiction books that accompany the classes and looking at promoting diversity and keeping current with what their changes are within their curriculum. And next year we will be launching our Seal of Civic Readiness. I can't specifically say where money will be allocated to that until that will be kind of created by what projects we go about. I do anticipate with that being upcoming elections and things of that nature, it will also encourage holistic education where we're going off for field trips and things of that nature to promote the idea of civic participation, which will be voluntary but also is always ingrained in our 12th grade government curriculum. For the next slide is our IB program. With the IB program, it is important to understand that we are an IB world school. So in essence, everything that any department talks about tonight, we are also in the high school trying to promote these basic principles, which is the IB learner profile. Whether it is an IB class or not an IB class, I think it would be, because I talked too long. But I guess I think these principles would be agreed upon that we would want to promote this within every area of instruction. Also, you'll see that as we are leaving our pandemic era, we are also looking to promote more of a holistic education. So our students attended Heckscher State Park to perform science experiments. They will be attending SUNY Stony Brook to work on research. Next week we're attending New York City to go to a museum to support the TOK curriculum. So we look for opportunities to also bring the students outside of the classroom and take advantage of the opportunities that we have in our area. Any questions?
The support, the Seal of Civic Readiness, that's not replacement for the community service, that's a different program?
Yes, the seal is affiliated with New York State. There are parameters that we have to follow with New York State. It's a point system in terms of how you attain the seal. It will be one of the pathways for graduation if students choose to do that, and it does entail community service and civic participation.
So are there courses that they have to take together, or is it outside?
It's with, the way we envision it, and obviously we'll tweak it after the first year, is that 12th grade government is participation in government. That is the premise of the class. And then we will be looking at basically an additional project, which we're going to form a club. And we're looking at it more not through the community lens of just counting hours, but more in the lens of what IB has in their CAS program, which is that what project the students participate will be lasting and enduring, with the goal of leaving something better for the class behind them. So we will be trying to promote not just, I guess, logging of hours, but to leave some type of legacy of something behind for the students as a role model, and then have them try to build off of that each year. Okay, okay. And I'd like to introduce Ms. Langone for Science and Engineering Technology.
Good evening. We're going to start off with elementary science, grades K through 5. So first of all, I'd just like to explain that recently we've transitioned to the NIST, which is the New York State Science Learning Standards. So for elementary, they're in full swing. However, the first new state exam will not be until next year with our 5th graders. I have to say that here in West Islip, we are very well ahead of many districts on Long Island. I'm very proud of the elementary STEM program we have. We have our own STEM labs, which not all schools get to have. And because of that, we've really integrated a lot of innovative lessons into our STEM program. So a lot of our budget goes to replacing consumables for science. In science, there are many items that can only be used once and have to be replenished. But one of the major transitions that we've done recently was to shift away from fact-based and workbook learning for science and go into the practices that the standards really emphasize. So the students do a lot of hands-on learning and learn scientific facts through hands-on learning, emulating scientists in the real world. So to help with this and to really push ahead with the innovation, I've leaned on the engineering technology department, Mr. Bonomo, because we've incorporated a lot of robotics and innovative engineering labs in the elementary school level. For example, for kindergarten, we've started with robotics such as Codepillars. We did the Bee-Bots in first grade. We did ladybugs in second, and in third, we started introducing things like the Ozobots. Last year, when it came to fourth grade, I really wanted to do something to tie in both space science and solar panels, and for the life of me, I couldn't find anything I liked, not even on Amazon. So I went to Mr. Bonomo and I said I have a big conundrum, and we really need to get innovative. And his students really led the work with inventing, and they really did invent, a solar panel actual contraption, and the fourth grade, and they made it in their STEM Academy, designed it so that we had solar panels. It was something that was measurable, something that fourth graders can use. His class actually even designed the entire lesson and then gave the prototype to our high school trades class, and from there the trades mass produced them, gave it back to the STEM Academy students who put them together, tested them, and then there was enough for every single fourth grade class throughout the district. So we really took NISLIS and became very innovative with it. We trained every single fourth grade teacher, and I also pushed in and co-taught with the teachers last year in all the fourth grade classes. And this year, we actually put into presented asset. We were accepted, and we were there just yesterday, and we presented this particular lesson. So I'm really proud of the innovation that we have for our elementary, because a lot of schools are still trying to scramble to figure out how to move from workbooks and knowledge to those scientific practices. So that's just one of the examples of the things that we're implementing that we will continue to do, and hopefully next year we will now expand to fifth grade and try to give them something that's a little more innovative to kind of bridge them to the middle school. Because we've gone away from the workbooks, we do need some kind of science foundation that the teachers can utilize and that the students can get their prior knowledge base from. So with that, we utilize two platforms. One of them is Mystery Science, that the teachers were using in the past, and they absolutely love it. And then we've also extended to Generation Genus, which is more of a video base, just to give a little bit of a video background. The NISLIS standards have phenomena for every single lesson, where the students are presented with something that they observe without any information from the teacher, and they have to come up with observations and questions based on this. So the video platforms help the teachers come up with these videos. Often they will mute and take off the sound when they're first looking to not give away the information, make it very inquisitive. Then they will pass share, discuss that with class, and use that for a platform to go into all the hands-on work that they're doing. The last picture is actually a pre-K picture. I cannot help myself by putting that one in. The little girl is holding those Legos, and even though the pre-K don't necessarily come into the STEM lab, they are still starting with the innovation at that age. And when I asked what she's making, she said, it's a cell phone holder, and she was holding it up. So the whole idea is just to get them really excited about science, to go along with the productive struggle that goes with the math curriculum. And actually, Dr. Grover and I were talking the other day, because the Reveal program that we're using is now very nicely aligning with the NISLIS program. As I am talking to teachers, they are bringing up things like, hey, this really correlates with math. For example, our math workbook will say, what do you notice, what do you wonder about the manipulatives that you're looking at? So all of a sudden this year, all these teachers that I'm working with are starting to talk about and connect with math, and that's exactly our goal. I think bringing the STEM together, starting from that early age and showing those kind of connections are really important. So that's what we're going to continue to do and implement for our K through 5. Moving along to middle school and high school, we want to continue the wonder for science. We want to keep students' self-efficacy high in doing these hands-on activities in science, and we want to start preparing them with a little bit more of the knowledge foundation. So, of course, all of our 8th graders are currently taking Living Environment, which is a Regents level class. We work very hard with our 7th grade. We actually started going through and evaluating our curriculum in 7th grade and buying and purchasing some more supplies to really get the students' skills ready for these high school classes, which is starting to work really, really nicely. However, I am one that doesn't like just teaching the Regents curriculum, so I want to add the innovation in. So a few years ago, we added a biotechnology lab into 8th grade, where all 8th grade students ran their own gels that practice gels and gel electrophoresis, And because it was during COVID, we wanted to connect it to real world, something real world that they can actually relate to. So at the time, we did an experiment where they were running 3 patients, testing them to see if they were positive for COVID, negative for COVID, and we kind of threw in one that was not clear, and they had to go figure out why it was inconclusive and retest and so forth. This year we decided everyone is kind of COVIDed out and we're tired of it, so we actually started brainstorming with the 8th grade teachers. We have a professional development coming up this Thursday. We want to keep our biotechnology with the gels and with the gel electrophoresis, because it's a phenomenal technology base for the students to have. And we're doing, shifting, the teachers decide to do more environmental. So this year they're going to be identifying they're looking at 4 dolphins. They'll be given the DNA sequence for 3 of them. 1 unknown dolphin that kind of got lost, and they're going to have to run the DNA, see which ones they're most closely related to, and come up with what environment they feel the dolphin should live in based on the known DNA of the dolphins. So that's something that we are adding more supplies for, more materials. I feel it's really important for the students to all run their own practice gel, use their own pipettes, and again, build that self-efficacy for STEM and science. In Earth Science last year, we implemented a GIS lab for the first time, which is Geographic Information Systems. So here the students are using this platform on their Chromebooks that's utilized by businesses and corporations throughout the world. It is an unbelievable platform just to gather data for research, but corporations use it to look at things like cancer clusters, elevation, topography, if there's flooding in certain areas, especially since the whole dynamics of Long Island is changing with the flooding and the zoning and everything else. All of this can be found on GIS for information at the touch of the button throughout the world. As a matter of fact, Stony Brook and Farmdale started to put in GIS certification programs, and most high schools do not utilize GIS in the classroom. So we wanted to be innovative. We started that last year. Our Earth Science teachers came up with a lab last year where students were going to go on a family ski trip, and they utilized the GIS platform, and the teachers embedded the Earth Science reference table onto the platform, and they utilized it to talk about the elevation of 2 ski resorts in New York, and then they had to share out and compare and explain which one they would pick for their family trip and why, looking at the elevation slope. This year, they added a second GIS lab, so it took a lot of professional development and teamwork for the teachers to work outside of department time, which they did, and I just started observing the first one, and they went through hurricane patterns this year, which was great. So in the one lesson I went into, they were comparing Hurricane Sandy to Hurricane Katrina, looking at where it started, the patterns, why one was really, really strong force, even though it was barely a Category 1, versus the one that was a higher category, and so on. So these are the types of skills we're looking to continue to implement, continue to give professional development for. And next year, I would like to actually buy the extension. We're using a free version of GIS. So now that we see that it is successful, that the students are using it, and the teachers are really embracing it, we'd like to maybe add the extension on so that they can incorporate even more skills on this platform. Other things in the high school, next year we'd like to add in a chemistry lab that's innovative, and that would take a little bit more money to support that. The teachers are currently starting to just look at certain things that they would like to do for next year. In physics, we've incorporated 3D printing right into the classrooms. So if you look at the picture that's all the way to the right, there's a student this year that was utilizing a sensor, and what happened was, normally the way the lab was pre-purchased, there was something that would be going up and down, and it would sense the distance and the velocity to a sensor on the floor. But the item was so small that it would take so many trials for it to get right. So the teacher and the student said, let's 3D print something to make this lab enhance it and even better. So this is one example. So they 3D printed a little flat platform to go underneath so that the sensor can see it more of a width, no matter how much it was oscillating. And the physics team has just been flying with this innovation. So they're utilizing this 3D printer in the classrooms to enhance their labs, and that's something that I'd like to see grow, expand, and of course just keep supporting throughout that. And of course, science, again, lots of consumables that can only be used one time. So that money is being pretty much consistent to keep everything going with our high school program. On the next page, or the next slide, we have our Research in STEM Academy, all part of the science program, but I kind of like to highlight it separately because it does have its own budget line, and sometimes you'll be looking at it and wondering, okay, where is this going to go towards? So I'll explain all of that. We have 9th grade research, biotech, advanced science research 1 and 2, Research Institute Experience, which is our Brookhaven National Lab Spark program. So basically, we have our research program and our STEM Academy, and I'm starting to realize that there is some overlap to both programs, and we're kind of looking to get flexible with the STEM Academy and overlap it with 11th and 12th grade research. So for the research program, students come in 9th grade, and then they have the option of going to a biotech and then advanced research 1 and 2, or in 12th grade and 11th grade, they can go into research experience. Research experience is pretty much like a mentorship program on the outside. We have a partnership with Brookhaven National Labs, and Mary Crowell, who is our lead research teacher, runs this program, and she actually coordinates it for all of the schools on Long Island. So we're very lucky to have her. She's also very involved on the boards for LISAF and the other competitions for research. Every year we've been very successful. COVID, of course, put a stop to a lot of it, but now we're really getting back into it. And we just found out that we had a first place winner in LISAF round 2 last week, and that offered one of our students, Emma Fallon, which we're very proud of, offered her a trip to Texas to go to the international competition. So not only does it help all the students in the program with their research skills, their presentation skills, their collaboration skills, and there's some tremendous skills for college, it's also great when they actually compete, and we've actually won other awards too, we're going to talk to them all, but when they compete and they really feel this sense of success, and it's celebrated amongst the whole program. Our STEM Academy had started in 2019, so we have our first senior year graduating this year. I can't believe they're actually the first ones to graduate. Our STEM Academy has grown to about, on average, about 66 current students. We anticipate that to increase because our senior year was the smallest year, and each year we've been staying steady about mid-20s of our cohorts that are going in. Our STEM Academy students actually have a very dynamic type of program where in 9th grade they get to take 3 different teachers. So one market period they're with a stats teacher, but it's all hands-on experimental. The second market period they may rotate and go to the engineering labs. Third market period they would rotate and they would go with the biotechnology research teacher. And then that cohort split into 3 groups. However, then market period 4 they come together and they work in the engineering labs and the biotech rooms with all 3 teachers, and they do a joint project. Last year, they actually had to design and plan a water filtration system. So they were given a budget, they had to buy their supplies with the budget, they had to have a prototype, they had to pitch their sale to the whole research team, everyone critiqued it, they built it, they had a competition of which one was the best. So this is the type of thing, just innovation, just to continue it on in our STEM Academy, and those are the types of projects that we're looking to fund and support. It's everything in a nutshell for research and high school. I could go on and on, but I know we're under time constraints. All right, moving on to engineering and technology. Mr. Vanilla would be here also, but his daughter is getting an award tonight and being inducted into an honor society, so I'm pitching in and taking that for him as well. For middle school, we just renovated our state-of-the-art labs. There's so much excitement in these middle school engineering labs right now, so we're looking to support with a little bit of extra materials and to go into the direction that we see the kids, what they really like and what we like to enhance. For example, we have a laser engraver. We really like to put on a rotary attachment. This would enable us to take a cylindrical object and to be able to engrave in that way rather than something that is just flat. So we'd like to add that on. We'd also like to add on a vinyl cutter. These are used in the makerspaces, and we have things that are similar in the high school so that we can teach the students how to do them in the middle school classes. And the idea is when they get to the high school, they can independently work on these in our makerspaces. This would help to make large format banners, t-shirts, vinyl sign stickers. I know earlier today Dr. Grover was wearing a Pi Day shirt that the high school students just made for him in the makerspace. So this is the type of thing we'd like the students to have this type of autonomy to be able to do. And then of course there is a little bit of an increase due to inflation costs of all the raw materials. Anybody who's done any kind of projects lately knows that that has increased greatly, so it does impact our technology department that way too. Moving on to high school, we like to replace the digital cameras. It has been a while since we've done so, and the quality is not up to par when you're comparing with some other districts that have just implemented this, so we really like to stay with the times and try to replace our digital cameras. We also want to increase our welding stations in the automotive room. We have a successful welding program right now. We're looking to expand that. So to have extra space and increased ventilation for welding, we'd like to put that into the budget. a tire changer in the automotive room, and also a diagnostic scanner. Anybody who has a new car knows that it's very different than the old-fashioned automotive, and reading and understanding these diagnostic scanners, I think, are really important for the students if they're going into this industry. Of course, that changes for every car, make, and model. I learned that the hard way when I brought in my brand new car and they couldn't figure out how to unlock the brakes. So teaching this to the students, I think, would be really, really beneficial. In the high school, we'd like to replace the top workbenches in our wood shop area after a while, just from all the work that's done on there. They're kind of getting banged and chipped and cut. We also like to continue expanding the 3D printers. That has been infiltrated into almost every area, and I love seeing the innovation that we're doing with that. They would like to put a robotic arm for the machines in the manufacturing lab, such as the CNC lathe. I think they got this idea maybe when we visited Curtis-Wright. So now the students envisioned it, the teachers envisioned it, and what it would do would be almost like an assembly line type thing, where the robotic arm can actually put the pieces onto the lathe for the students. So seeing the way that the manufacturing companies are going, this is actually something that's very innovative. The students will also learn how to program it so we can infuse the use of the robotic arm into the courses as well. And also, of course, just an increase in inflation costs for the high school. And then we have been taking more and more trips to companies such as Design Products and Curtis-Wright and other manufacturing companies on the islands. This has been unbelievable because not only is it making those connections and gaining internships for the students, but it also is shifting our curriculum. So as we are learning what corporations want and what the skills the students need, I am actually observing the teachers shift their curriculum and change the things that they're doing in their DDP classes and in their CAD classes and in their design to support the skills that the students would need. So we like to support those increase in trips to manufacturing companies to keep that up as well. All right, I know I threw a lot out for 2 different departments, but any questions?
Sounds like a lot of great stuff.
I know, really good.
Very
All right, I'd like to welcome Dr. Michelle Walsh next. Thank you.
Good evening. It's really great just to hear all the wonderful things going on in the district. I'm truly enjoying just listening to all the presentations tonight. Tonight I'm here to speak about elementary literacy. To quote children's author, Tommy D. Paola, reading is important because if you can read, you can learn about everything and everything about anything. The goal of elementary literacy, of the elementary literacy program, is to build lifelong readers, writers, and thinkers. Through research and evidence-based curricular programs and instructional practices, students will have the opportunity to develop the critical foundational skills and the higher level language comprehension skills that are needed for long-term success. In the 2023-24 budget, foundational skills and standards-based practices will continue to be prioritized. This includes the purchase of programs and materials that build early literacy skills such as the Haggerty Program, Foundations, and the purchase of decodable texts. In addition, professional development on the science of reading, New York State Next Generation Learning Standards, and assessment will support our teachers in having the knowledge and the skills they need to be proactive and responsive to all students' needs. In addition, I'm pleased to announce that the district, as you have heard, will be participating in a curriculum review process. This will really be an essential opportunity for stakeholders to evaluate the existing curriculum and the teaching materials and to determine future professional development needs. So really next year is going to be a really wonderful opportunity for all our stakeholders to look at our elementary literacy program and to determine what we need and where we need to grow. This process will inform the 2024-25 budget, so next year I'll have a much longer presentation for you. Lastly, I'm pleased to announce that the district is supporting a cohort of professionals to become Wilson certified. I will move to MTSS after you have, if you have any questions about elementary literacy.
I'm very happy to hear about the Wilson One certification,
I
as
thought-
you know.
I thought for sure you were gonna.
Well, I've done cartwheels, figured I'd take it easy tonight.
We've been working very hard in elementary literacy, and I really can say that our teachers have given so much this year to dive into the, not only new materials, but understanding philosophy and really thinking very critically about what we're doing to support readers. And really, you know, when you look at where we go and in terms of high school and the skills that students need to be innovative and creative, elementary is about setting that foundation.
How many teachers for the level 1 certification, how long does it take?
So it is a tedious process. Next year, we'll be looking to train 4 teachers because we want to make sure that we do it right, and it will be our first experience through going through that year training. We also have, there's a tedious process in terms of making sure that the right, we have to go through a process, we have to follow, Wilson has recommendations in terms of how the student is chosen. So this is new to us, so we want to make sure that we do it right and take our time, and so we're going with a small cohort first.
Is Wilson doing the training?
Yes, that's who we will be having the training. Be doing the training.
Excellent, all good stuff, thank you.
So I will move on to MTSS. MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support. The West Islip School District utilizes an integrated approach to supporting students. We recognize that core instruction is fundamental and essential. At the building level, we have MTSS teams that are responsive to the needs of all students. Tiered supports in academics or behavior, which include social emotional learning, are provided. Assessment continues to be a component of our MTSS framework, with various tools being available in the district. On a side note, I'm pleased to announce that the district will be partnering up with New York State and the 2023-24 school year with our elementary schools to participate in a New York State MTSS grant at no cost to the district. This grant will provide professional development to our elementary literacy teams and to provide guidance in terms of evaluating our current systems and make recommendations for additional programs of support. Any questions on MTSS?
So they'll participate with our curriculum review, or?
No, it's a separate grant. It is a federal grant that is being offered through New York State. It will be administered by the University of Albany. And they will come in, they will bring their own trainer in, and they will take us through first an assessment process where we will evaluate our MTSS system. And from that assessment process, then we will look at, first we will be looking at our behavioral supports, and then we will look at academic supports. Not only at the Tier 2 and Tier 3 level, but we will be looking at core instruction and making sure that we have a comprehensive approach in the district. It is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Lauren Levy. Tough act to follow, Dr. Walsh. Okay. So at the middle school and high school, this school year we have been looking at our literature and we're trying to update and create more contemporary titles for students to choose from. We really strongly believe in student choice. So we're having students pilot some new books for us, give us some ideas, their thoughts on them, where they see them being relevant in our curriculum at the high school and middle school.
We're also providing PD to teachers to support core instruction, the implementation of next generation learning standards, and differentiating instruction. At the high school, we're piloting 2 classrooms for flexible seating. This flexible seating arrangement will include armchairs with charging stations, standing desks, and erasable furniture. We will also continue to barcode all of our current titles to be entered into the Destiny system, so that was quite the undertaking this year. We changed the book room around. As you've seen from some of the Board of Ed meetings and all the surplus that we've had, we've gone through all of our literature that we have. We've gotten rid of anything that wasn't in good condition. We've barcoded everything that we currently have so that it goes into our Destiny system. So it streamlines the process for when students want to take books, and when students need to take class sets out, they come down right down to the library, get scanned out. There's an accountability piece there. We know who has what book. We know what books get returned. We know how many books we have, and then we're able to then, for the following year, make any purchases for any lost books. For the E&L department, we are going to continue to use the Last Links assessment program, which is a progress monitoring tool. So we do that for the fall and the winter for our Ls to just see how they're progressing through the year. Then in the spring, we have our NYSESLAT exam, so we don't want to overwhelm them with too much testing. So the Last Links for the fall and the winter, then we have the NYSESLAT in the spring. We usually get those results back in August, and then we can make placement for students the following year. We are also updating any of the current instructional materials that we have, and we're planning more informational events for Ls and their families. We had a wonderful event this past October, which was very well attended, which was fabulous over at Open Arc Elementary. It was K through 12, and we're planning on hopefully doing something again like that this June, and then again next year. For the Library Media Center, so the high school has, again, kind of been a bit of an undertaking this year. We've done some really great things. We've had the opportunity to move some of the stacks that were unused to create more open space for students. As you may or may not know, we have a ton of students that like to eat lunch in the library. It's really a safe space for a lot of kids. So we wanted to try to maximize that space as much as possible. So we got rid of those stacks. There's now more tables and chairs in there. There's more room for students to eat. There's more space for teachers when they bring down their classes. So that's been really great. We also painted both the upstairs and downstairs to kind of more soothing colors. We actually asked input for a lot of the students, some of our regulars that are down there, what kind of colors they see working and being kind of soothing and relaxing for them. So that was just painted this past school year. For the upcoming school year, we're going to be adding new laminate flooring. So the carpet in there is about 25 years old, I want to say. So we're going to get rid of the carpeting. We're going to be updating with laminate flooring, which we felt was probably better, being that so many students tend to go in there. So we'll be updating with laminate flooring. We'll have flexible seating options there as well. Again, going back to the armchairs and charging stations. And then all of our library media centers across the district have been given additional funds this year to update the average age of their collection. So it's recommended that the average age of the library collection should be within 10 years. So we're looking probably about 2013 to 2023. Some of the ages of our libraries range from about 1998 to 2003. So they're going to be given additional funds this year over the course of the next 5 years to kind of increase some of to make more contemporary texts available to students. We were getting rid of some old biographies, some old nonfiction that's not really relevant to students, and bringing some new things in. We'll also be adding Sora, so I'm excited to announce for this year, hopefully in the coming weeks, we're going to be having the Sora program, which is an online reading app for students. It increases the number of ebooks and audiobooks that students have access to. For this school year, we're looking at, and the upcoming school year, we're looking at the free version, and we'll be getting it through BOCES. However, there is a version where there's different packages you can buy to purchase different texts that we could look for in the future, but right now we just kind of wanted to see how much, how often students would be accessing these materials. Thank you. I would like to introduce Mr. Justin Marini, who is the Director of Counseling and Social Work.
Thank you, everyone. I have the pleasure to talk to you about our school counseling department and our social workers this evening. It's really exciting for me because our counselors, our social workers, and I'll include our school psychologists as well, they're really the glue that helps keep our buildings running and operating and functioning and supporting our students. They're the nexus between the teacher, the administrator, the parent. They're the first one that parents and teachers and students are relying on when it comes to helping to support their children or supporting them in the classroom. So we've done a lot of really great things this year and have more to come next year. It's really hard to try to limit it to just a slide or two. We have increased night programs, large push on social media to get information out there. But one of our biggest initiatives is we really want to be visible and present with our students in the classrooms. So much of what our counselors and our social workers, so much of what they do happens behind the confines of four walls. So that's good work, and that work needs to continue. But getting out there publicly, getting out there in the classrooms, it just helps bring more awareness to the programs that we offer and the support that we have. We're very lucky here at West Islip. We have a tremendous amount of support. When I arrived here, it was such a relief and privilege to be able to see all of the support that we have, from our school counselors to our psychs to our social workers, transition coordinators, assistant directors. There is so much that we have here at our fingertips that we use every single day to support our kiddos. So I'm grateful for that. So just a little bit about what we do have this past year and next year, moving into next year. So at the elementary level, we have 2 school counselors at the elementary level. That was an additional FTE. If you go back even a year prior, there was an additional FTE there. So we're extremely grateful for the attention our elementary school counseling program has been given by the community. And they're pushing into classrooms. They're providing social emotional literature lessons for K-2. So they walk in, they read a really fantastic book, and then participate in a lesson that helps build really fundamental skills with our K-2 group. They're doing career exploration lessons across each grade level. They are providing health smart social emotional lessons, K-5. They're supporting our principals and our teachers with character education and building culture, and they're providing group counseling as well as crisis counseling. And both our elementary and our high school counselors are standing members of our MTSS program. So they're there working with all the other stakeholders to really help make decisions that will support outcomes for our students. At the secondary level, this is both middle school and high school. Again, we are pushing into classrooms. We are bringing in speakers. We are presenting. We're running night events. We're doing a lot for college and career awareness. We have a really special college essay workshop that our counselors have spearheaded. They are partnering with Sacred Heart University in UDEL. So our students get to hear from the individuals that are reviewing their applications about what they want to see in a college essay. Our counselors are pushing into our college freshman seminar class once a week so that those students not just have an expert teacher, but once a week have a counselor at their fingertips for the entire application season for senior year. They're doing crisis management. Unfortunately, that's a daily thing that they're there doing and supporting our students with, and they're the liaison between the students and the parents and the teachers and administrators. They're that nexus that we were talking about. Both our middle school counselors and our high school counselors are doing a lot to help our students acclimate. So that means not just starting with our 5th graders before they get to us in 6th grade. We're starting with our 8th graders before they come up to 9th grade, but also our 12th graders and helping them prepare for their next step after high school, whatever it might be. So we have a lot of classroom push-ins. We have a lot of information that we are building to help support them so they can get acclimated for the next year. Moving on, we have a lot of college application support, which I referenced, and then lastly, the social, emotional, push-in classroom work that we do with our students, particularly at the middle school level. So next, I'm going to talk very briefly about our social work team. We again, just to cite the resources that we have, that we're proud of, and that are all working very hard for us. We have 4 social workers, 1 in each of our elementary schools, 2 at the middle, 2 at the middle school, so 1 at each, and then we have 2 at the high school. And our social workers, they team with their partners, very close partners with the school counselors and the school psychologists to help support our students, whether they're general education students or students with an IEP. Either way, they're building programs that really help build capacity across all of our buildings. That's group counseling, there's SEL, classroom push-in lessons, crisis management, restorative justice practices, which is something we're looking to invest a lot more energy into learning and becoming experts in, working especially at the elementary level with peer mediation and other restorative justice practices. There's another standing member of our MTSS committee, and we also work with outside organizations that help bring really special programs into our buildings like Mission B and Sweethearts and Heroes. And then there are also, sometimes we forget, but we have a great community and we have a lot of resources, but we do have families that are in need. And we are so lucky that we have pantries right here in our district that our social workers help oversee. And they're the ones that are responsible for managing what comes in, what goes out, what families have the needs, making sure that we connect the resources that we have with the families with the greatest need. They're running holiday drives, they're delivering baskets to families. I mean, it's really, really wonderful stuff. And a lot of that we don't see every day, but they're out there doing it. So really, really proud of their work. Any questions about our school counseling department or our social work department?
Just tell me what Mission B and Sweetheart Heroes is.
Oh, absolutely. So both programs have some similar priorities, and they take some different approaches to get there. So I'll start with Mission B. Mission B does a lot of mindfulness work. So they're providing in-classroom lessons for students, helping provide them with mindfulness activities, as well as for teachers and professional development. And they came in primarily in the fall, but they were here quite a bit, and they did some really nice work, both at our elementary and middle school level. And then we have Sweethearts and Heroes. Sweethearts and Heroes is a great organization that comes in, and they're going to be working again with our elementary and our middle school program this April, in fact, in a little over a month from now. And again, they're trying to build empathy and character and connectivity between students, which is also what Mission B is looking to do as well, but slightly different approach. So Sweethearts and Heroes will come in, they'll do some presentations, they'll do some circle work, they'll get students understanding that we all have a lot more in common than we have that separates us. So it's pretty moving work, and we've been working with both organizations for a few years now, and we've had great results.
So the 2 counselors at the elementary school level, I know we've added 1 and 1.
Sure.
What's their caseload look like? Should we look to add 1 for every building, or what's the breakdown look like?
So they don't have a specific caseload because they're split between 2 buildings. So we have 2 counselors across 4 buildings. So it's not quite practical for them to have a specific caseload. So what we've done is we've prioritized what those needs are, and that came from a lot of work with the building principals and determining what do our students need the most. So what they needed was a lot of tier 1, right? A lot of classroom push-in, let's give services and support for all, let's build capacity for all. So that's what they've been focusing their energy in. They do some group counseling based off of whatever the contemporary need is of that building. They're doing crisis counseling, they're teaming with the administrators and the social workers and psychs to provide those services ad hoc. but they don't have a specific caseload of students where, like, for example, the social worker might have mandated students based off of IEP goals that they're working with. The counselors don't have that set specifically.
Are they able to keep up with the demands that we're currently seeing?
I mean, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I'm very fortunate to have a department that has those resources at the elementary level. So I think we're doing as good a job as good as anyone out there could. But if you're asking me if additional support would help get us even further, of course it would. You know, the demand's been tough, and we're seeing things pop up at the elementary level that we're not accustomed to seeing. But we have great people down there doing great work.
Are we keeping up with the pace in middle and high school?
Yeah. In fact, we've actually upped our game. We're in the classroom more, we're more visible, we're doing more push-ins. We have a really strong team at the middle schools, and they're eager to get out there and support the kids on a tier 1 level. And that's what they're doing. They're doing great stuff.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you. And it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Eric Albinder. He is our Director of Art and Music Education.
Good evening. Thank you for having the opportunity tonight. When I was hired in West Islip, and it's hard to believe I'm starting year 11 or 12, I was told that music and the arts and performing arts were one of the crown jewels of West Islip, and I really still feel that way today. I've experienced nothing but tremendous support, not just financially, but from the community and the school board and all the administrators. March, as you may or may not know, is Music in Our Schools Month, and just this past weekend we had about 80 students from all 7 buildings participating in all county festivals, and I certainly invite you and the public to our upcoming high school musical, which is taking place next weekend, Chicago the Musical. I had an opportunity this evening to see part of the rehearsal before I came, and I think you'll be really impressed. Before I quickly go through my budget slide, I just wanted to take a moment, if you'll indulge me. I just put together a short statement about music and Music in Our Schools Month. Music and the arts fire up enthusiasm for learning. They reinforce reading, math, and critical thinking skills, build self-confidence to flourish in other curriculums, accommodates a variety of learning types, and helps those who have difficulty relating to traditional instruction. The arts educate the whole student. They provide core curriculum that makes a difference, propels students to the top, helps students succeed in all walks of life, educates and benefits everyone, unites people and builds community pride, and exalts the human spirit. There we go. In terms of our budget and upcoming year, a lot of the supplies and materials and consumables are similar from previous years. We've been very fortunate to continue to replenish and add some additional instruments in our band and orchestra programs in all of the buildings. We're down to one final school that's getting a new piano. Every building's gotten a new piano. Over the years, we've gotten new choral risers, lots of classroom music instruments. Now every elementary school also has classroom sets of ukuleles besides the traditional recorded programs we do. A good portion of the budget are consumable supplies, particularly for the visual arts programs. Our ceramics program is thriving in the elementary school, and teachers have been going to professional development, and we've had specialists come in to take a look at all of our kilns. We continue to incorporate lots of technology in the classrooms. Yesterday, I observed an art class, and all the art teachers are using the document cameras to provide enlarged views of teacher demonstrations in real time. And as it's listed up here as well, we continue to provide lots of instructional software. At the elementary level, we have the Quaver, Music Play, Smart Music programs. And at the high school level, to support our Mac lab for graphic design, advertising, music technology. Next year, we're actually having an advanced section of music technology because it's so popular as well. And as needed, we're looking at facilities, adding some storage cabinets, instrument racks, some new tables and stools, upgrading some of the showcases. And as far as maintenance and repair, we have continual contracts with different vendors on a regular basis to make sure all of our instruments are in working order, the pianos are tuned, etc. A couple of years ago, we rented about 35 cello and basses, and I'm happy to say that we don't rent a single one anymore. We have enough for all the students. If you take a visit to our high school orchestra room, you'll see a sea of cellos and basses all along 4 walls, more than you can imagine. And it actually provides an advantage to our students because the larger instruments, students have a second instrument for home practice. I believe that is all I have. Any questions?
Thanks for everything, Eric. I may be biased, but sensational program.
Thank you. Thank you. Please welcome to the podium Mrs. Elise Patty McDonald, which is lead teacher.
Good evening. Although our budget hasn't really changed from last year to this year, we are about to undergo some curricular changes per New York State. The Apple assessments that you see on the top are something that we are going to be providing to our students this year. We did it last year as well. And what they are is to basically allow us to see what their proficiency levels are. We can test them in all modes of communication, so they'll be interpersonal, they'll be presentational, interpretive. It allows us to make sure that our curriculum is aligning to the proficiency level that our students are at. In doing so, that's helping us to now do our curriculum review. We actually have started our progress in the curricular review this year, simply because New York State is asking us to do 7th grade standards implementation as of next year. So we're undergoing that process currently. We will provide for professional development for that standards implementation. We're doing that this year. We'll continue to do it for the next 4 years, which is how long it will take us to implement at each grade level. The thing that we are obviously the most proud of is our New York State Seal of Biliteracy, which our students are getting as seniors. But in order to get to that level, it's important that we have these things put in place to be able to make sure that our kids are at the proficiency levels that we're expecting. So that's pretty much the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions for me? In that case, I turn it back over to Mrs. Morrison. We're almost there.
Thank you. Can I just please take a moment to just acknowledge the administrative team and how proud I am of the amazing work that we have going on here in West Islip. We are truly, truly fortunate to have such a great team of administrators leading the charge every day. Just up until this point in the presentation, there's just so much amazing things happening in our district. So if I could just take a moment and have a round of applause. Thank you everyone for joining us here this evening. Okay, so next up, I am going to be discussing information and instructional technology. The focus of the Information and Instructional Technology Department is to provide district stakeholders with reliable, sustainable, and up-to-date technology that supports the academic advancement of our students. The district is extremely fortunate to have Dr. Patrick Kiley-Rendon assuming the position of Executive Director of Technology and Innovation effective April 17th. We look forward to the knowledge and expertise that he is going to bring to the district, and it will no doubt continue to keep West Islip at the forefront of districts in regard to technology. The following and what is displayed on the screens behind me is currently included in the IT budget for next year. Continued smart board replenishment in all the buildings. The smart boards throughout the districts are replenished on a yearly basis based on their age. The replenishment cycle ensures that the smart boards are kept up to date and that they are doing so spread over a period of years so that we do not have too much of an expense in one particular year. We will also be looking to purchase one-to-one touchscreen Chromebook devices for grade 1 students. Currently, our first grade students are using iPads, but feedback from the teachers is that they are not easily manipulated and worked with the students. So we did some surveys, received some feedback, and we are looking to bring one-to-one touchscreen devices into our first grade classrooms in September. Also covered is the insurance and maintenance costs associated with one-to-one devices for students and staff members. You can imagine the use that these devices get, and we often have some things go awry, so we maintain the costs of insuring and maintaining our devices. The maintenance of the NIST cybersecurity framework that protects our critical technology infrastructure from cybersecurity-related risks. The cost of maintaining the asset management system utilized to identify, account for, and track the district's IT equipment. An update to the network's infrastructure and servers, including upgrades to the firewall and data center at Manitowoc that backs up all of our district data. Should we ever have a major catastrophe, our data at district office is backed up over at Manitowoc, and we would be able to have continuity of business as usual because of that infrastructure that's in place. With each graduating class, the knowledge of up-to-date technology is becoming increasingly more essential for college and career readiness, and the district's ongoing investment in technology and the professional development for our staff provides students with the solid foundation necessary for their success. And I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the board and the community for their ongoing support of the Instructional Technology Department. Ongoing professional development is essential in order to ensure that the standards and course curriculums are effectively implemented pre-K through grade 12. As part of the district's PD plan, we will continue to support faculty, staff, and administration with the acquisition of skills necessary to provide relevant and effective instruction throughout all curricular areas. For the 2023-24 school year, a focus will be placed on the items projected on the screen behind me, while understanding that as opportunities present themselves throughout the school year, PD experiences will be added as necessary. The ongoing implementation of the Next Generation Learning Standards K-12 will be addressed, as will the district's focus on elementary literacy. Push-in training for the implementation of foundations will expand to 2nd grade, and the Hegarty Phonics program, which systematically focuses on phonemic awareness and phonics instruction aligned with the Foundations program, will be implemented and supported in our pre-K and K classrooms. Additionally, all K-8 teachers will continue to receive training in regard to the science of reading, which delves into the explicit and systemic teaching methods necessary for effective literacy acquisition. Data analysis provides insight into how students are responding to the district's curriculum, advancing appropriately with grade level skills, and keeping pace with their peers. Ongoing PD will be provided to support staff in utilizing data to track student progress, ensure the effectiveness of the curriculum and our instructional practices, and to ensure that all members of the school community have access to the same educational opportunities and school experiences as their peers. Mastery Learning provides opportunities for students to revisit concepts and skills until they are able to achieve mastery. Ensuring student understanding of a given concept is essential for the effective scaffolding and internalization of skills. PD will take place in this area as teachers continue to work towards incorporating increased mastery learning opportunities into their instructional practices. West Islip is fortunate to provide high school students with a broad range of course offerings that prepare them for higher level academic institutions or employment. Our IB and AP programs are examples of such courses. Teachers, school counselors, and members of the administrative team will continue to receive professional development and training in regard to both courses of study. Along with maintaining all current instructional programs, the following additions displayed on the screen behind me are proposed to be added to the 2023-2024 school year. Some of the highlights noted are the continuation of the district's full-day pre-kindergarten program. To accommodate the growing demand for the pre-K program in the community, 250 students will be joining our pre-K program in September. West Islip is fortunate, I should say extremely fortunate, to have this full-day program as it really supports those foundational skills that our students need to be successful for success in kindergarten and beyond. It's an amazing opportunity, and once again, I would like to thank the Board of Education and the community for their ongoing support of this program. As a side note, the pre-K building placement lottery for September will be live streamed on March 23rd at 2 p.m. From the district office conference room. If you haven't watched it in the last 2 years, it is somewhat entertaining. I am the star of the show, so please tune in, and the link can be found on the district website 24 hours prior to the lottery. We are looking also forward to providing an increased number of students with the opportunity to attend BOCES programs and to select from a larger pool of program offerings, namely animal sciences, aviation and professional pilot training, barbering and marine motorsports and technology are included in the budget, and these came out of feedback from students in regard to additional programs that they were interested in attending. So once again, a wonderful opportunity for our students. Restructuring of the ALC at the high school for the 23-24 school year is currently underway. The high school team is seeking ways to reallocate staff to ensure that students receive the MTSS services necessary to master their grade level skills. Specifically, we see a need for math and reading and writing support. Currently, the district has one director of special education and one assistant director. The addition of a second assistant director is being proposed for next school year. This will allow for one assistant to focus on the K-5 level and for the other to focus on the oversight of grades 6 through 12. Districts with similar size special education enrollment numbers tend to have a minimum of 3, if not more than 3, special education administrative team members. The rest of our administrative team often, picks up sometimes in areas where our special education administrators aren't able to always be there in the moment, and the addition of an assistant director will decrease the amount of time that principals and assistant principals spend addressing the complexity of services for our special education and 504 students, and will provide additional support at all levels for the special education program. We are also looking to add additional building aids at each of our elementary schools to provide increased classroom support for students. And we are also looking to add 2 preferred subs at the high school. As we all know, there is a sub shortage not only on Long Island, but throughout the state of New York and the country for that matter. On most days, we do have 2 or 3 classes of students at the high school that end up in the sub room due to sub shortage issues. Adding 2 additional preferred subs at the high school will help to decrease the number of students that end up in those subrooms and certainly support the continuity of instruction by keeping students in their classrooms with guided practice. High school administrative and staff members have been working hard this year to reimagine the current CSIP requirements necessary for graduation. Mr. McCann, you had touched on that. The Seal of Civic Readiness is one pathway that students will be able to attain that. But during this work, the need for a reliable program to track and verify volunteer and community service hours was noted. So we are looking to add a technology platform entitled Passport for Good to address the aforementioned need of tracking our students. As we continue to work through the budget process, please be reminded of the timeline that is on the screen. Our next budget workshop is scheduled for Tuesday, March 28th at 7 p.m. here at Beach Street. Facilities and school safety will be discussed, followed by Tuesday, April 18th, budget workshop number 4, state aid, fund balance, revenue, and expense. Tuesday, May 9th is our official budget hearing at 7 p.m. And of course, most importantly, Tuesday, May 16th, our budget vote and trustee election from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. At West Islip High School. I would once again just like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Romanelli, Board of Education, the administrative team, our teachers, our staff, our parents throughout the district for supporting all of the amazing learning opportunities that we are able to give each day to the students in this district because of the dedication of the people in this room. So thank you very much.
And may I also just thank Mrs. Morrison for all of her work on the presentation this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess before we end, we're here for almost an hour and 45 minutes talking about continued updates to our curriculum with the needs of the ever-changing world of education. I felt like all we kept hearing was updates, changes, increase, improve, enhance, help, gain, add, and it's really comforting to know that we are moving along with the times and doing everything that we can in our power to give our children this really the best education possible. So again, like Mrs. Morrison said, I thank everybody in this room for being a part of that, and even those who are not in this room. So just great job to everybody, and this was impressive tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And again, thank you to the administrative team. Wonderful job showcasing all the great work that is happening in our buildings. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight.